Huge metal columns and brick viaducts stride across the Castlefield landscape. Colossal legs towering high above the waterways and warehouses. These viaducts carried the steam locomotives that gave Manchester access to the great seaport of Liverpool and far beyond to America and the West Indies. Monstrous viaducts, which are a powerful symbol of the Victorian businessmen and engineers who, with supreme confidence and conviction, made Manchester a city of wealth and opportunity, the first city of the world. Castlefield also holds riches that are not quite so visible, riches only being revealed by years of patient perseverance. Hidden beneath the viaducts lie the remains of a Roman fort and settlement, and only very recently the significance and magnitude of these finds have become apparent. Castlefield's other remains are easy enough to see, but their true majesty is hidden beneath centuries of decay. Now, with care, these Georgian and Victorian buildings are shedding their mantle of grime to be returned to their former glory. Some house magnificent examples of the machinery which made the region the Industrial Revolution's birthplace. Others house machines that the men and women who lived in Castlefield would never have imagined. The potential of many of Castlefield's buildings is yet to be realized. They could become bars and restaurants, art galleries and shops, homes for people and businesses, workshops for craftspeople and designers, all centered on the waterways that lace Castlefield. Castlefield is an opportunity ready for the taking, and many people, including the Department of the Environment and the local authorities who've invested around £20 million, have been quick to realize it. 13 acres have been converted into museums and galleries and are already attracting 500,000 visitors each year. 50 acres of buildings and land are waiting to be developed. These buildings, together with the existing attractions, will make Castlefield one of Britain's major leisure and tourism areas. And together with the GMEX and the Salford Quays developments, Castlefield will also be part of one of Britain's most extensive tourism areas. But perhaps Castlefield's greatest asset is its position, a stone's throw from the heart of Manchester city centre. 150,000 people live or work in central Manchester. 1 million in Greater Manchester, and beyond are 15 million people. And because Manchester, with its excellent airport, motorway and rail services, is northwest England's major communications hub, people will be able to travel to Castlefield quickly and easily. As things are today, so, incredibly, they were for the Romans 2,000 years ago. It was precisely because of the area's importance as a major communications hub that they built a fort in Castlefield. Overlooking the rivers Medlock and Irwell, their camp, Mamucium, gave its name to Manchester. At its peak, 500 soldiers and 2,000 civilian followers lived in or around it. A reconstruction of how the North Gate might have appeared has now been completed, and the Greater Manchester Archaeological Unit are now excavating other areas. Once the Romans left Castlefield, the area became depopulated for many years. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle contains a reference ordering the people to repair and man a fort in Manchester. Later, Old Port Lodge was built, and Castlefield became a deer park. Old Beaufort Lodge was used as the Royalist headquarters during the siege of Manchester at the outbreak of the Civil War. The lodge was destroyed by parliamentarians in 1642. Then, a dim, flickering candle exploded into a bright ball of fire, the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. Castlefield was about to be transformed into a bustling metropolis. By the early 1700s, the Irwell was made navigable down to the Mersey, providing a direct link with Liverpool. In 1760, the Duke of Bridgewater, together with James Brindley, built a canal from the Duke's coal mine to Castlefield, a distance of 5 miles. Britain's first true canal, it enabled the Duke to undercut his competitors by 50%. The Rochdale Canal, built in the early 19th century, was an incredible feat of engineering. It runs from the heart of Castlefield straight over the Pennines into Yorkshire, 33 miles via 92 locks. Castlefield was very much an integral part of the British canal system and remains so today as part of the Cheshire Ring of Canals. Today, the area's canals, canal basin, warehouses, locks, and lock-keepers' cottages remain to be looked at and admired and indeed to be renovated. Today, the rivers and canals are being cleaned and restored, with walkways being built along the banks. The Mark Addy pub, named after a local Victorian gentleman who saved at least 37 people from drowning in the Irwell, shows just what can be achieved. Originally, this site was a riverside wharf. Now the arches have been repaired, the terraces restored, and new buildings sympathetically created to match the older brickwork. Proof that the most unlikely sites can be completely and successfully transformed. The success of the Mark Addy will be continued in the Canal Basin, an area of 4.5 acres. The huge warehouses will in time become an area with a host of uses, looking out over landscape gardens and waterways, with pleasure craft using the canals. The Canal Basin has a number of warehouses. The Merchant's Warehouse is constructed from handmade bricks. The middle warehouse has boat holes now blocked up that allowed barges right into the building. And the grocer's warehouse, demolished in the 1960s, will be partially restored by Manchester City Council to provide a viewing gallery across the Canal Basin. It will be the starting point for trips along Castlefield's waterways. The original water wheel, which happily survived demolition, will also be restored to show how it was used to lift coal containers from canal to street level. Further along the canal, below the Roman fort, many of the canal arms have been filled in. These arms will be revealed, and the land between will be landscaped. Sympathetic industry will move in. Boat builders, chandlers, provision suppliers. In 1988, the National Waterways Rally will be held here. All this may seem like castles in the air, but in Castlefield, fantastic ideas have often become a reality. Take Liverpool Road Station, the world's first railway passenger station. It opened in 1830, but by the 1970s, the buildings were a shambles. Few could have imagined that by the 1980s, they would be beautifully restored. Nowhere was the competition for railway access more bitter than in Victorian Manchester. 9 companies fought and argued over rights of way, and the outcome of these struggles was a huge number of bridges, viaducts, and railway lines. The castellated decorations on the viaducts were a sop to Victorian conservationists who screamed with indignation when engineers destroyed all that was visible of the Roman fort. Today, the city planners and developers are more sympathetic. Some unsightly businesses remain in Castlefield, but gradually these are being relocated to other areas of the city without, it is hoped, the loss of a single job. And that's not all that Castlefield has to be proud of. Its achievements are remarkable. The Greater Manchester Museum of Science and Industry, already a huge success, has 3 new areas opening. The Electricity Gallery, jointly sponsored by the Electricity Council, will show how electricity has changed our lives. The Greater Manchester Story Gallery will explain the city's part in the Industrial Revolution. And a science centre will bring technology to life. Just over the road, the Air and Space Gallery shows a variety of magnificent flying machines amidst Victorian splendour. The Castlefield Gallery, a private gallery devoted to modern art, has extremely popular children's classes. And the Upper Campfield Market, another extraordinary cast iron building, will tell the story of the people of Manchester. Many other things are being done to improve the area. Tearing up tarmac to reveal the original cobbles. Landscaping around railway viaducts. Narrowing streets. Clearing derelict land. All to encourage others to restore the remaining buildings. And this is happening. St. Matthew's Sunday School is to become an architect's office. This beautiful water tower, restored by Granada Television, Castlefield's best-known residence, is an integral part of a new studio complex. And Granada has also renovated these warehouses. The terraces of Coronation Street are a reminder of the old style of Castlefield's houses. New attractive homes have now been built. The St. John's Garden development on Byrom Street. And this Georgian house converted into flats overlooking the Bridgewater Canal. Castlefield is becoming a community once again. To take into account the interest of all involved, the Castlefield Steering Committee provides a forum for discussion involving the private and public sectors. Financial help is available for the right projects from the EEC and central and local government. But Castlefield needs others to join in. People with vision to tap Castlefield's vast resources. People to follow in the footsteps of others who, for 2,000 years, have recognized the unique value of Castlefield.
Once a year, Castlefield celebrates with the most spectacular carnival in the north of England. It's 2 days of entertainment that provides something for everyone. Street theatre with clowns, jugglers and traditional Punch and Judy, street stalls and displays by local craft workers and artists, children's entertainment, steam train rides, a Victorian fairground, and music to suit all tastes. The whole event takes place in an area which in the last 5 years has undergone a remarkable transformation from industrial decline to Britain's first urban heritage park. Castlefield is at the heart of an area which was the home of the Industrial Revolution and is now becoming one of the major visitor attractions in Britain. The area already contains the Greater Manchester Museum of Science and Industry, with its Air and Space Gallery and Electricity Gallery, Visitor Centre and Urban Studies Centre, and a Gallery of Modern Art. And to return to the earliest origins of the city, there's a reconstruction of the north gate of the Roman fort with a guardroom furnished in authentic Roman style. Work is also in hand to restore and improve the rivers and canals of Castlefield to create new leisure areas. Perhaps the most remarkable transformation has been in Liverpool Road, the site of the world's first passenger railway station. The station and goods yard have been brought back to life to become the Greater Manchester Museum of Science and Industry. Visitors can see the machinery working in the power hall, where there's an authentic smell of oil, grease and steam in the air. Much of the machinery is part of the history of Castlefield, either made in the Manchester area or used in one of its mills or factories. Many of the people who today demonstrate the equipment in the museum worked for many years with the machinery they now so lovingly care for. The Industrial Revolution in the north of England was, of course, based on textiles, and the museum has an extensive collection of machinery demonstrating how the industry developed from its earliest days. Machines like the spinning jenny, the power loom, and largest of all, the spinning mule, which is so noisy it's an instant conversation stopper. Across the road from the Science Museum is the Air and Space Gallery, with historical aircraft and space exhibits in a magnificent cast-iron Victorian market building. Also part of the Science Museum is the National Electricity Gallery, which shows how a scientific curiosity developed into one of Britain's biggest industries, with an impact on everyday life. The impact of the Industrial Revolution is demonstrated in other ways in Castlefield, not least in its rivers and canals. The Carnival provides an opportunity for the waterways enthusiast to enjoy Britain's first true inland canal and canal basin, and for the visitor to enjoy looking at the boats and traditional canal arts and crafts. The Bridgewater Canal was built between 1759 and 1761 to bring coal from the Duke of Bridgewater's mine at Worsley to the fast-growing town of Manchester. The canal finished here in the basin, and the coal containers, the first known example of a now popular way of transporting heavy loads, were transferred to horse-drawn vehicles at the Grocer's Warehouse, which is being restored as a working museum by Manchester City Council. The basin where the Bridgewater meets the Rochdale Canal and the River Medlock has been much improved over the last few years, with the reclamation of filled-in canal arms, the clearing of debris and silt in the waterways, and the improvement and restoration of towing paths. What can be achieved on the rivers and canals of Castlefield can be seen at the Mark Addy on the River Irwell, named after a Victorian boatman who saved at least 50 people from drowning. This former riverside wharf has been converted into a pub and wine bar with its own sun terrace. Opposite the Mark Addy is the first part of a riverside walkway, which will continue on both Manchester and Salford banks of the river towards Salford Quays. A water-level landing stage will also be provided to enable visitors to arrive by boat in style. Of course, the Industrial Revolution was not the start of Castlefield history. Our earliest visitors came almost 2,000 years ago, the Romans. They built a wooden fort, their castle in the field, at the junction of the rivers Medlock and Irwell in 79 AD, and converted it into a stone fort in 200 AD. The Romans stayed at Castlefield until they finally withdrew from Britain 200 years later. Later excavations have established the importance of the area in Roman times, and tours of the reconstructed North Gate are provided with some rather special guides. In this ancient settlement of Mamucium are the origins of a thriving and important city. The area of Castlefield remains part of city centre Manchester, just a minute's walk from the main shopping area, and close to all the theatres, cinemas, concert halls, and restaurants. The Roman fort, the canals and rivers, the museums and galleries are, of course, some of the reasons for visiting the Castlefield Carnival. But many visitors come to enjoy the relaxed and friendly atmosphere and the wide variety of entertainment for all ages.
So you see anything strange, you will let me know, right? Out! You come on. And you, up you come. Well, these are the two friends I was telling you about.
The Castlefield Carnival is the high spot of the year's activities in one of the fastest growing leisure and tourism areas in Britain. Still to come are the new exhibition areas at the Greater Manchester Museum of Science and Industry. Further improvements to the canal basin, with new facilities for boaters and bars, restaurants and speciality shopping, a new social history exhibition area, and the creation of a major new tourist attraction by Granada Television, based on their Coronation Street and Sherlock Holmes series. Castlefield has come a long way in 5 years, and the next 5 promise to be an equally exciting chapter in a history that stretches back 2,000 years.